Good evening. Just having a sound check. Is everything okay?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. So, good evening and a very warm welcome to this evening's program. Um, Firstly, just to sort of put in context why we use the title of angels. Within the Brahma Kumaris, the month of January, especially dedicated to celebrating the life of the founder of the organization. And what our experience is that as a student of meditation, how over the period of 33 years, he was able to put in some very sincere effort and shift consciousness from being a human and become angel like. And in fact, what is very beautiful for me is that when I think about this whole study, it is a journey for us to move from a very corporeal or very physical existence to a very subtle experience of being angelic. So, if you think about ourselves generally, there's really the two facets of a very human part of us, which is fallible, that can make mistakes, that's imperfect. And there's the part of us that is the being, that is subtle, that actually operates on a much higher frequency and vibration. And that being actually doesn't have any limit, it actually is unlimited. And so, really, to explore this whole process of what is it that I can do in my day to day life so that actually I can move myself from what I hold as possible or this is impossible because I look at my physical state and I think, no, it's impossible. This is not what I can do, but this I can do. So, what happens is that we put ourselves into categories based on our physical situation. And in a way, when we're doing that, what we're doing is we're really only looking at ourselves as physical. And in a way, we then really creating a limitation for ourselves. So let us really look at it today in a way that we can explore together. And some of the things you can also think about for yourself. Like I'll give you one example, right? Say you wake up in the morning and you really feel good, you feel happy. That morning, you would actually be so enthusiastic to do everything. You'd be offering people to make tea, coffee, you'd volunteer for tasks, and literally it's because you're feeling really great. There seems to be nothing in your way that's creating any obstacle. And so, for that reason, you just feel so on top of the world that you can do what you need to do. But the same you, the next morning, is not feeling so good. And you find yourself just constantly thinking, why me? Couldn't somebody be kind enough to make me a cup of coffee? And sort of a complaining, a critical kind of you starts to emerge. And the only difference is that the one morning you were really feeling happy, and the other morning you were not feeling good. And based on that, your whole attitude changes. And so, why I was giving you that example is that we know we have those days. And that actually is just based on what's happening inside of me. And I'm not going to go into all the psychology of it, but what you will realize that there are times when we can do almost anything, so nothing is impossible, and there are times when everything is difficult and don't ask for anything because it's not possible. So this is actually we experiencing in our day-to-day life the angel and sometimes the human, or the human most of the time, and sometimes the angel. But that's something you can actually work out for yourself, which category you want to fall into. What inspired me a lot is that when I think about this whole process of being an angel, the way in which an angel is defined is that an angel is a helper of God. And this is something that for me was very attractive. Maybe it's always been a very deep love of mine to understand and realize who God truly is and how I can use this life so that it can be of service to God. And that's why the topic of being an angel or being an helper of God is so attractive. But one thing that is really evident, whether you have this pull or not, one thing I can tell you for sure, that the very nature of ourselves as being spiritual beings in a human form, that we all gravitate towards is that when we feel that we can add value, when we are useful, the best in us comes about. Because the very nature of the living soul is it is radiant. It is a being that gives off. And so when I'm in a position to give, I'm at my best. And so that's really what comes naturally to us, is to give. And even if we just look at it in that way, leave all the philosophical, spiritual things aside, just the very nature that I like to add value, I like to give, like to be of assistance, is already the sign of an angel, because it's an assistant and helper. Remember, if we think about myself that I am the one doing, I can go into a lot of ego and a lot of my own thinking. And when I go into a lot of my own thinking, then actually I can also start creating agendas and desires, and then arrogance can set in. But when I deem myself to be a helper, an assistant, then I see the task that is in front of me, and whoever it is I chose to help, I have the humility to follow those directions, or I cooperate with them in such a way that whatever their aim is, I give a helping hand to fulfill it. And that's really what the whole idea of a helper is. And there are a few things that are very powerful when we connect ourselves to be a helper. Um, if you just think about it, if you were taking the task of rearranging your garage, because your garage is not just a garage, but it's also where all your tools are kept, storage place. And say if you decided that you were going to clean your garage, most of the time it's such a huge task. There's a lot of hesitation. But if you know of somebody who's doing it and they're close to you, and the idea is that you're going to help them, you most probably will go and assist someone cleaning their garage than starting the mammoth task of cleaning your own garage. You're going to be doing a lot of work, but by being an assistant, it takes away the burden. And so it's not so much that you don't want to do the work, but it's not the responsibility, because if you start it, you have to finish it. But if you're assisting somebody, when you had enough, you can actually say to them, okay, I need to go now. This is all the time I've allocated. So this is why I really like the whole role of an angel. An angel is not sitting with a project plan that has an outcome. An angel is completely surrendered to the one and is constantly obedient to see what is it that that one is directing him or her. And so then all the angel has to do is cooperate. And when it can't, if so it is that it's not possible for you to do, you can just let go and know that the one whose task it is, they will see through. And why I'm highlighting these different qualities is because in our physical spaces at the moment, we find ourselves sometimes being alone. And especially with the way life is going, there are times when we can feel really, really alone. And when we feel alone, the natural tendency is that we actually make things which are simple very difficult. And so I think this is one of the things you can be completely reassured is that it's just a shift in attitude. If I don't make myself the key responsible individual, but I just make myself a co-planner, a co-worker. For example, if you're a parent and you have to look after your family, it's true, you are the breadwinner and you have to pay all the bills. And so, on a practical level, you definitely have the responsibility. I would say that the buck stops at you. But you know, none of us are custodians of another human life. Yes, we can be trustees and we are taking care of their physical well being, but I wouldn't say that we are actually custodians of anyone's life. And there's another energy, a more powerful energy that actually is responsible. So even in my day-to-day life, if I make this contract and agreement with that one to say, I'm here, I'm the agent playing the role on your behalf, because all of these individuals that I interact, they also have a relationship with you. And so I am just playing my part, whether I am now playing the part of the father, the mother, I am the key guardian to all of these individuals, whichever is the role that I have. But I make myself only a trustee. So I am the assistant. And when I do that, I actually move away from actually feeling so responsible and bogging myself down. So this is a key thing, is that finding that way in which whatever role I'm playing, to include that supreme into it. Something else that's also very beautiful is that when we co-create, when we actually work with the ones who we are with, and we sort of always share the responsibilities, we also find that we can get solutions from other levels as well. You know, even a simple thing like how the family runs in terms of, you know, mother and father can take full responsibility. But you know, there's a thing that in our spiritual upbringing, what we have is we have family gatherings, or what we call family meetings. And so when the family gets together and they discuss the issue of the family, and just by sharing that with the family, even though you're not putting the burden on it, but if you're sharing your concerns, that itself can lighten the burden, because it's not like a secret you're holding inside of your mind. It's something that you are able to express. And so you're actually making the other members of the family aware of the situation in a way, and say to them, so this is when we can practice patience. Let's be a little bit more accommodating. And you will find that by doing that, you're not actually enabling your family, but you're actually building capacity, because they understanding what the situation is, and they can also start using virtues that can actually support the situation. And you know, by them using virtues, it actually is growing their own capacity. So this is also something very beautiful that an angel does. An angel learns to actually work with others in a very practical way. Now, there were just some of the things that I shared in terms of, what makes this life of being an angel so beautiful, because it's a shared life. It doesn't actually put any burden on me. But we have actually so far been living very much like humans. And I'm really starting from my point of view, in a sense that, we were brought up with these different limitations, put into categories. And so most of our upbringing is very human. In fact, there's something that I found very interesting. When I think about myself as a human, I limit myself. But when I think about myself as an angel, I actually go into the unlimited. And the word unlimited in Hindi means behad, it means beyond the force, beyond any restrictions. So just think about it. When I say unlimited, what I'm doing is I remove restrictions from myself. And these restrictions that we move away from ourselves, in a way, we would actually find ourselves liberating ourselves. Now, the thing that is very interesting is that as humans, we don't realize actually how much we've actually started living in a controlled way. We think that when we eat anytime we want, sleep anytime we want, do whatever we want without asking for permission, and live beyond the law, that we are free. That's actually the kind of awareness that we have. But what we don't realize is that when we say, I'll eat what I want, I'll sleep when I want, I do what I want, who is the I that's claiming that I will sleep when I want, do what I want? And what we don't realize is the I that we're talking about is actually the false I. The I that is come under the influence of thinking that it is this limited body. And that I, which has this 2.5-inch tongue, sort of declares what it wants to eat. This 2.5-inch tongue wants to speak in a certain way. It doesn't actually have any control. And so what happens is that we're not really in control. We have been, I hope I hope you don't take offense, but it's almost like we have become possessed by the senses of our body. So we are getting deluded by what we see. We get pulled by what we smell. We get attracted to what we taste. We get influenced by what we hear. And all of these different things has actually started to control us. And so when I say I want to eat what I want to sleep when I want to go where I want to go, it is not I that is speaking. It is that which has taken over me that is actually taking me into a direction to satisfy its own needs. And so actually what has happened is that I've actually become subservient. So I'll give you a good example. Something like salt, which is a basic thing. If there's very little or no salt in the food, most of the time for some people, it's not what they could even eat. They can't consume it because it is something that they're very used to having a certain amount of taste. So imagine if I know what good taste is, but if there's no salt, I can still eat it. Who has more control? The one who always wants to eat it the way it should taste, according to their idea of taste, or the one who can actually eat whatever needs to be eaten at a specific time because it's what the body requires for it to be sustained. So who is the one that is actually having more control and more freedom? the one who is completely and constantly compelled that certain things have to be in a certain way. You know, it really reminds me of people who, when something is hanging loose or something is out of place, that when they're sitting in a room, they can't even sit comfortably on their chair because what is out of place constantly bugs them, that they can't even allow their mind to focus on what they wanted to. And so these are the kind of stuff that shows us how we've actually become trapped in our senses, that actually who I am is someone who actually is in a prison. And because this prison has been created by the false identity, and the false identity is constantly needing more and more and more, I actually forget that the more and more and more is bigger and bigger chains. And you notice how you just get something new, and then you need something else new, and then you need to keep upgrading all the time. And so in the chase of upgrading, you forget that you tying yourself even tighter and tighter in this knot of your own prison that you have created because of this false identity that you have of yourself. And so an angel is one who actually has recognized the trappings. The angel is able to realize that actually I'm living in this body. This body is my chariot. It can be a throne on which I'm sitting and I'm ruling on that throne. It can be my vehicle, which I'm using to travel on this life's journey. There's many different examples I can use, but what is important is that I don't forget that I am that eternal being, that being of pure light, energy, who is eternally peaceful, pure, loveful, happy, wise, joyful, and powerful. That if I can maintain that awareness who I am, with those intrinsic qualities, that kind of high energy in my awareness, that shift in awareness of being that energy rather than trying to achieve it by doing things. When I can shift that consciousness, then that's when I move from all the limitations that I've created, and I move without any boundaries, without anything holding me back. And I'm absolutely free. I'm now in a space where nothing is impossible. And so there are very beautiful images of things that we've watched, and I'm really remembering something that I saw when I was much younger, and it was called The City of Angels. And one of the things that I remember in this movie was that angels could feel people. They could know exactly what humans were going through because angels also had a human experience, but they transcended it by giving up their limitations. And then when they gave up their own sense of owning anything, they were able to then open themselves up to feel everyone. And if you think about one thing that we very much are striving for is to be connected. And that whole idea of connection is coming from the one thing we say we need, and that is love. But you know what is ironic is that actually we think we need love because we want to bring ourselves, we feel separate from others. So we feel we want to bring ourselves close. And that closeness is what we define as being love. And the thing that is really crazy, but is that I actually don't need love because I am love. And it's because I forgot who I am that I have now created a wrong identity of myself. And having lost myself, I can't now connect to others. You know, you look at a child, because a child has no preconceived ideas, we teach them things. In fact, they say from year 1 to year 7, a child basically looks at its environment and constantly copies all the scenes and situations, the behaviors of the adults. And then from 8 years onwards, it just relives what it's copied. And so that becomes the things it's learned. So if you think about it very carefully, is that a child is someone who will go to anything, go and touch a snake, go and play with a frog, hug a monkey, and not think anything. But we tell it, no, 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 that's dangerous, don't go there. And so then the child develops a sense of resistance, it stops trusting, it starts becoming fearful. So, in the same way, if we realize that we have created certain things and in a way, maybe even put our heart into a little jail, so that actually we've closed ourselves up, that we can't reach out to the other in front of me. And because of the lack of connection, even though I may be in a crowd of people, I can feel alone. And yet, an angel is someone who is not restricted by anything physical nor anything subtle, because it is free from any of its own criticisms or own kind of understandings, perceptions. It is so clean, so free, it belongs to no one. Its only one responsibility is to be in trust to God and have faith in that one. So the angel just moves in such a way that it can go to places, literally walk through walls. It can do what we call impossible. But because within the angel, there's no limitations. So just think about it. We have used our limited knowledge and understanding, and we've created restrictions for ourselves. And because of that, we've blocked our sense of connection to another. And because of the breakage in connection, whether it's the wall that we have put up or we've literally cut strings, what's happening is that we are unable to connect with another person. And because of the lack of connection with another person, I feel isolated, I feel alone, and then fear comes in. And when we become frightened, what happens is that we then begin to create our own, what we call truth. And sometimes that truth can be so far from what is real, what is really truth, that actually we start living in isolated silos and castles in the air. And then we become completely people who criticize, judge, we don't trust others. And all of those things really separate us. And that's the human existence, because look at what the humans are doing. We build parameters around, we constantly have boundaries. We even say we must have boundaries because they protect us. And so we create boundaries physically at our homes, we create boundaries within our inner spaces so that we don't let people into ourselves. And then we will feel alone, we will feel isolated. And because of that isolation and limitation, we don't feel love. And so then we do become alone and become unhappy. And then we start living our lives only within what we can control, because now we're in that space that is actually a difficult space that we've created for ourselves. So the first step for the angel really is to let go of the limited identity of being this human. The angel is actually a living light that is so pure and peaceful that it's a child of the Supreme. But the wonderful thing about the angel is not only it has one connection upwards, but actually it also has a connection where it is actually, whether you want to call it brother, or it is related to every soul in the world, so it belongs to everyone. An angel belongs to all. And so to feel that I'm not one who belongs to one or two persons, but actually being the child of God, I belong to the whole world. And that's a very powerful experience, knowing that wherever you go, whichever place you are in, there's always somebody that's yours. In fact, everybody is ours, which actually then makes us feel safe, makes us feel confident wherever we go. So that's the really something that I need to shift from inside of myself. Stop focusing on the differences that I have, but look at the thing that actually unites me with the world. And if we could just focus our attention for a second on the center of the forehead, and as we're looking at the center of our forehead with our mind's eye, just visualize yourself to be this very bright, beautiful star. And as you focus on that beautiful spark in the center of the forehead, the brightness becomes so powerful that slowly the whole body turns to light. And slowly the body disappears, and what remains is light. And when I look at the world and see my world family of 7.5 billion individuals, instead of focusing on the body, trying to work out the gender, the age, the nationality, I just see the living star, the radiant being, the one that shares the same form as I. We are each living lights, sparkling beings. So this is a very beautiful consciousness that we can hold for ourselves, that I look at myself as a soul, as a being of energy, a spirit, and I see others in the same form as well. So that shift in consciousness moves me from the limited into the unlimited. And then the second most powerful point is to know that who I belong to and who I'm really an agent of, and that is God. So that instead of feeling responsible, I'm just that actor playing my part here, and that I allow that elevated directions to come from the Supreme. But what I want to also share with you is it's not that the Supreme has a whole list of rules that actually we need to do and not do. Because generally, when we think about a spiritual religious life, people really think, oh, we can't do this, we can't do this. And it seems to be a life of rules and regulations. But to be honest with you, if that's the case, then it's very unnatural. But actually, what we are really learning is that if I look at the natural nature of the soul, the very nature of the soul is peace and love. And the only direction the Supreme is giving me is constantly to steer me in the directions that I return to the peaceful being that I am. I return to the loveful being that I am. I maintain that awareness and consciousness of truth. I hold that powerful awareness of being full of power and all virtues. So that actually is not a discipline. That is just a gentle reminder for me to actually return back. It's not even I'm trying to implement happiness in my life or trying to implement peace in my life. Actually, I am that. I'm just returning to that. So, what does it actually mean is that I have learned some things which are contrary to my original nature. So, it's time to unlearn, let go, and actually go back to that which is ancient, eternal inside of me. And the eternal quality within the soul is peace. So I'm going to leave you with a very beautiful drill. And maybe if any one of you have sometimes been with me, I have shared this many times because I really feel that we can be listening to many things, but if we don't practice this powerful consciousness, we're not going to move far in our lives. And so, this whole practice of the angel is like a subtle drill that allows me to look at myself beyond this body and return to that which is eternal, the original state of the soul. And so, I call it the 13-second drill. And within that 13 seconds, there are three phrases that actually we need to perhaps bring into our awareness. The first line is, I am a soul. I am peace. I am a being of peace. So we can even maybe type it in the chat for you, but basically it's really three little phrases which will take you 13 seconds. But not only just to repeat it as an ongoing broken record, but it's very beautiful if I could understand when I say I'm not talking of the I, this body. I'm talking of the I that's this energy that is eternal. When I say soul, I'm talking about the life force that makes this human function. And peace. Peace is that eternal identity, that eternal nature of I, the soul. And I'm just re emerging what is already inside of me. So it goes very beautifully. I am a soul. I am peace. I am a being of peace. And even if you could spend 1 minute, so if you spend 1 minute, you would do these three phrases 4 times. Let's say you do a little bit more than 13 seconds. You move on to 15 seconds to finish the phrase. But if you use it with the right energy, I am a soul. I'm present in that awareness. I am peace. Feel my eternity. I am a being of peace. Now I'm radiating that energy outward. So when I do that for just 1 minute, so I'm going to do it 4 times, and just try every hour for 1 minute, which means to do it just for 4 times, you'd be absolutely amazed at the shift in energy. Because what's happening is that we're so outwardly engaged that our energy is getting zapped by matter which is in a real hurry. It's really speeding up. But when I take my attention away from it and I bring it to the very high frequency that's within me, because the highest vibration is actually inside the soul. It's not out there, it's inside. So when I turn inward and I focus that energy, and then once I focus on it, I'm able to radiate it outside. I'm actually now changing my environment because now what goes out is coming from a very high source. So now my atmosphere that I've created around me is similar to the energy inside of me. So we're beginning to create our atmosphere. And as we do this, you'll be so amazed to see how things start moving in a direction that you would like it to go. Life will definitely offer its challenges, but if you can remain stable within those challenges, then that's it. That's actually the success point. So I would like us to just spend a few minutes together while we do this drill 4 times. So hopefully within a minute we'll finish. And let's collectively create the space by all of us thinking and focusing on those 3 phrases at the same time. And then if there are any questions, you can actually even now write them in the chat, and then we'll try and address them with a few minutes that we still have left. So just for a few moments, let go of anything you're holding on to. Just become completely relaxed. Now with your mind's eye, visualize yourself to be that radiant being of light, and remind yourself, I am a soul. I am peace. I am a being of peace. Feel that energy of peace radiating outward. I am a soul. I am peace. I am a being of peace. I am a soul. I am peace. I am a being of peace. I am a soul. I am peace. I am a being of peace. Thank you. So now I'm not sure, but if there's anyone who has any questions, let's see in the chat. Okay, so looks like no one has any questions or thoughts, but it's really important that we practice. And really, if you could take away this practice with you, that you're able to find a way to just turn your thoughts inwards, so that actually every now and then you actually just connecting with that high frequency of energy inside of you, and allow that peace from inside of you as you connect with it to flow outward. So that's a very valuable thing that we can do now, be the living angels to support the world. Something that I think that is also useful, that we can all try out, because it's almost like what is happening in our world today is that everybody's sort of needing help, and we feel that when we look at others and they getting a little bit desperate, we have no one to go to. But I think the important thing is that we need to stop looking for help down here. We need to really step inside and know that actually that final straw is actually, or what they say, the buck stops with me. It does actually, literally. So step in, but don't be alone inwards. Step up. And when you step up, you're returning to the source, the blueprint of your creation, or whoever you are. You'll be able to connect with the higher source and know yourself better. And the more you know yourself, the more you're able to use what you have inside of you in a more effective way. So don't become a victim thinking that you need to get something from outside. Be reassured that everything you need actually is inside of you. You have it all. But you need to stop looking out there. You need to really turn that attention inward and be able to recognize what is there. If we remind ourselves that we are God's children, you think God would have made us so weak, so dependent? He would have only created us in His image. So don't underestimate who you are. Literally, you are God's child. So everything that we can remember God to be as the ocean of peace, the ocean of love, the ocean of happiness, we are master oceans of that peace, master oceans of that happiness. So don't seek around you, seek inward or direct your attention inward and explore that power that's inside of you. So instead of going into more expansion, but if there is any other assistance that you feel that we can support you on this journey of going inward, and if I would really urge you that the foundation within the Brahma Kumaris is the meditation course, and to explore the basis of that meditation course to teach you how to go inward, be more reflective, is a very useful tool. So with those words, I'd like to say thank you and good night. And let's stay in that high consciousness where we're able to hold that powerful energy of being beautiful beings of peace and spreading peace out into the world. And remember, when you glow, you just grow bigger and bigger and bigger. So nothing of you is going to get less. It's just going to become more and more powerful. Om Shanti.
I am a gift, no matter what age, no matter how I look, there's beauty in each stage. I am a gift, and I promise every day When I look in the mirror, I'll say, I am a gift. I am a gift. I've loved really well, and every year I've lived has a different tale to tell. I've made mistakes, have some regrets, but I promise I'll never forget. I am a gift. I am a gift. There may be times when I forget the truth about me, when it seems time and youth are just marching on without me. That's when I might need you to find me and ever so gently remind me that I am a gift, a precious child. I'm put here on this earth, but only for a while. So I make this vow, and I say it with love. I am perfect and whole and enough, and I am a gift. I am a gift. There may be times when I forget the truth about me, when it seems time and youth are just marching on without me. That's when I might need you to find me and ever so gently remind me that I am a gift, a precious child. I'm put here on this earth, but only for a while. I make this vow, and I say it with love. I am perfect and whole and enough, and I am a gift. 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 I am a gift.